All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Loyalist. What's going on, man? How's your day been going?
Not too bad, I'll tell you right now. I've been sitting behind the screen for most of the day, digging into coaches, digging into quarterbacks. It's definitely a busy time to be a Colts content creator, but I don't mind the work at all.
Man, so earlier today, I dropped a tweet, and the reaction on that tweet was so vast and, adamant one way or the other, with so much replies that I absolutely had to make a video here, sit down, live chat it, just discuss it in general. And those of you that are in the chat, feel free, say something about it as you will, as we discuss this. And if you're watching this afterwards, feel free to use the comments as well. So I posted the question: if Chicago was willing to trade Justin Fields for the Indianapolis Colts 4th overall pick, would you take it? And holy crap, boy, there are some people that are absolutely against it, and there are some people that are absolutely for it. And the reasoning between both is, very strong, and there's a lot of different reasoning for either side. There's pros, there's cons to doing either, right? Whether you trade for it or not. But in general, now obviously a lot of people are going to start off the thought with a lot of cons to doing this. And Loyalist, I got a feeling I know where you're going to lie on this, but
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I'm going to go ahead and let you drop a few cons to doing something like this.
Number one, and before I start off, this has nothing to do with Justin Fields. I mean, I like the development we saw from year 1 to year 2, but it's a hard, emphatic no for me. Okay. First off, he's already, 2 years gone off of that rookie contract. The Colts right now have a lot of holes. They need, not a lot, but they have some holes they need to fill. I'd much rather have that quarterback on a 4-year or 5-year contract versus a 2-year. Okay. Which I guess Justin Fields would also have 3 years left. I apologize. Secondly, Justin Fields, for me personally, has not checked off all the boxes in the throwing. Dude's a beast with his legs. But, I'm not 100% sold on his capability to become that accurate down the field passer. And lastly, I understand he hasn't had a lot to play with, but if I'm going to bring in a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback, I really want the Colts to have their coaches and their scheme and their tutelage and guidance and stuff put into this young quarterback. I'm not saying that the Bears have messed Justin Fields up, but there's some things that philosophically they're going to choose to do that the Colts might not. So then you got to unprogram that and then get them back on. So like I said, for me, and none of this is on Justin Fields. I honestly believe is going to be a very solid quarterback. But for the Colts in this position that we're at right now, there's no way that I would trade it. And to me, this isn't like trading that first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. He was really proven. You knew what you were going to get with DeForest. Justin Fields is developing. And I'm just, like I said, for me, if I'm going to bring in a young talent, that 5 years at that lower contract is a huge, huge factor for me.
So a few pros to doing this. Now, I'm not leaning either way on this situation. I just, I posed the question and I wanted to see, reactions. And boy, did I get some. There are some pros to this. And they were brought up quite a bit. First off, the Chicago Bears offense outside of him and maybe Cole Kmet was garbage, right? Absolutely. I mean, he had maybe the worst offensive line in football, right? Worse than the Colts, believe it or not. I mean, this dude was sacked 55 times and he can move, so that says a whole lot. He's got a cannon for an arm. If you ever wanted to be able to someone who could scramble, stretch a play and then hit Paris Campbell in the end zone from your own 20, I think Justin Fields could pull that off. So there are some positives here. Another big positive is what you're getting from Justin Fields now, granted, you don't know where his development is at his passing, but what you've seen this past year with the Chicago Bears, him playing at the NFL level. You have no idea about some of these guys that are going to be coming out of college, right? As much as you might like and seen what they've done in college, the NFL is a completely different animal. So there are some positives to taking Fields rather than drafting a quarterback. In my opinion, if Fields came into this draft right here, this draft, with CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or Will Levis, I think he'd be pushing all of them for the first pick of the draft. Talent-wise, overall talent-wise, I think there's a good chance he could do that. Now, he went, if I remember right, 11th, 10th, 11th, something like that in his draft.
Yeah, just outside of the top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty sure he was 11th in his draft. And, a lot of people, now Bears fans seem to think, it's going to cost more than a first-round pick to get him. Now, I would be on board with that if it was not a top 10 pick, or top 5 pick, right? If it was like the 11th pick of the draft, I'd be like, well, you're going to have to give up a draft pick plus maybe a second or a third. But when you have a top 5 pick, I think that is a fair trade. I think that is a fair trade for Fields, especially with them sitting with the number 1 overall pick. They could go get themselves another quarterback and then get themselves, maybe use another pick and trade back, grab some offensive linemen, maybe some offensive weapons, whatever it is that they need. They could use the shit out of it for sure. But, sitting back and thinking about, that's where I was thinking on the whole, 4th overall trade for that. Now, again, I understand there's a lot of question marks about his passing accuracy. He was over 60%, but that's barely, right?
Yeah, he's got a cannon, but is it a 1940s cannon? It's not. You don't know where the thing's going to go, or is it one of those new high-tech zero-in type cannons? That's the thing, the accuracy for sure.
Exactly. Now, like you said, also, Fields has already been in the league for 2 years. You'll have 2 more years plus his 5th-year option before you have to actually pay him. But again, what that is doing is you're getting the NFL experience out of him first. You know what I'm saying? He's already shrugged off that welcome to the NFL moment, right? Whereas you're going to go through that with your quarterback if you draft one out of college in the draft. So you're getting someone who's already shrugged that off and has gotten to the NFL speed right off the bat. You do have a very good point about, he came into the NFL with Chicago. 2 different regimes, right? 2 completely different regimes, 2 completely different coaching styles. If we traded for him, he would be going to his 3rd different regime in 3 years. And that's a little bit something to worry about as well, because he already had to forget about one and go with another on his 2nd year. Then he would have to do that again his 3rd year. So that's another negative in trading for Fields. So, but there is, like I said, how would he have looked if he'd had a halfway decent offensive line or some weapons to throw to, a running game, so that he's not the main running threat on the team. I mean, I get it. I understand they do have running backs on their team. I mean, David Montgomery's a solid running back, not the greatest, but solid. And he had 800 yards rushing. Justin Fields had damn near 1,200 yards rushing by himself, right? Yeah. That's a scary situation when you're relying on your quarterback to not only be able to throw the football down the field, but also lead your team in rushing.
Yeah, and I want to point out, like Justin Fields with his legs is really solid. Okay, but I argue, okay, that's after 2 years of being in the league. You give me Anthony Richardson You give me Will Levis. You give me 2 years, and I feel like, honestly, I don't even think it'd take 2 years for them to be as effective with their legs as they are as Justin Fields is. Now, what I know you still have the mental development and stuff like that, but I'm just saying from the running aspect of Justin Fields, and then whenever you sit there and you talk about accuracy and stuff, you know, I don't know that he's that far ahead of a Will Levis. I don't know that I would say that he's considerably ahead of Anthony Richardson, but there again, that 2 years you can close that gap, you know what I mean, at a much cheaper rate. And then you to me, I honestly don't even know how you really truly compare him to a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, because their styles of play is much different. I get it. CJ Stroud's mobile and he can do some things with his legs, but that's not what his game's geared around. And Bryce Young, no. Bryce Young, no way do I want him having to go out there and try to be that guy who's going to get you 1,200 yards on the ground and stuff. So plus honestly, Chicago, to me, I don't know that they're really ready to move off of Justin Fields, because that 2 years of investment they already have in him. And why would you sit there and take a guy who's starting to come in his own, who's starting to show improvement? Why would you want to stop that and then turn around and get just a 4th-round pick? So to your point earlier about them wanting more,
4th overall,
or fourth overall pick. Sorry, yeah. But you said earlier that they're wanting. Of course, they're going to want more. You know what I mean? But there's no way in heavens I would ever. Honestly, me personally, this is how, again, I wouldn't give up my 4th-round pick. I mean, I wouldn't give up my 4th pick. I would think about the 4th-round pick, just because. Well, and here's what
that's a slam dunk, my guy.
I know, but just because of the 2 years that you've lost already, and so yeah, to me, and I know it sounds like I'm dumping on the young guy, but it really isn't. It's just where the Colts are and with what they have presented to them in an opportunity in the draft this year. I think Chicago is going to end up being happy with CJ Field or Justin Fields, and I think the Colts are going to be happy with CJ Stroud or Will Levis or Anthony Richardson.
You don't think we'd be happy with Bryce Young?
I don't think we're going to get Bryce Young. I just do not think that's something that's on the table.
It's interesting. Rianta James asks, do you think that Ballard's going to do something stupid again, or is he going to get it right? And really, that's all about, the eye of the beholder on the stupidity thing. In my opinion, trading up, giving up multiple 1st-round picks for to the Bears for the 1st overall pick would be a stupid move. That's my opinion on, and a lot of people are like, you have to do that or you should be fired, and I'm like, I think that's the dumbest thing that Ballard could possibly do. Yeah. In my own personal opinion. I feel like there are 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks in this draft that over, a year, 2, 3 could develop, have that high enough ceiling that could develop into a quality long-term starter for you. Right. And you're not giving away the future of your team on a chance that you're getting that, Mm-hmm. So I don't like that idea of trading up at all. Not in the least. If he does, he needs to get it right. You know what I mean? I mean, if 100%, I'll be all good for it. If he trades up 2 1st-round picks, gets the guy, and at that point, I'll just be like, all right, we're going to sit, and I'm not going to argue about it for 2 years, and we'll see in those 2 years how that quarterback does. Because the first year usually is not something great. You're looking at development and stuff, from coming out of college. So, yeah. But yeah, he's going to have to get it. And like he said in his presser, you can ask me to move up and go get a guy and just take a guy, and then you're going to celebrate me for doing it. And then if he don't play well, then it's my ass. You're right. Don't take a guy just because the fans want you to take a guy. You go out there and you get the right guy, the guy that's not only going to play well, but going to play well for your team and in your system, right? Because you're going to have a specific head coach and a specific offensive coordinator and a specific quarterback coach. They may not be able, their strengths may not be in the Bryce Young room or in the CJ Stroud area. You want to get the guy that's going to be right for that group, because there is no quarterback, in my opinion, in this draft where you rearrange your offensive coaching for.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't. Those kind of guys are like Lamar Jackson, Peyton Manning, those kind of guys, Aaron Rodgers, those
Caleb
are the
Williams.
kind of guys. Yeah. those are the kind of guys. Well, we have yet to see about Caleb. He's still got a year to play, but he could fall. We thought the same thing about a certain Tua Tagovailoa.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
A lot of people did. 2 years before he was supposed to go into the draft, he was considered the best quarterback in that draft and could possibly be a game-changing quarterback, right? I mean, he was big. And then the last year came through, his last season, and a lot of question marks fell from him, you know? So, just sit and wait, and we'll see what happens and pulls off through that.
Yeah, real quick, guys. It's been 16 minutes. We're not being good content creators because we haven't asked you, so we're going to now. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, please smash that like button. We did this for Basil to make sure that, that met his standards today. So please, if you would, smash that like button, hit that subscribed if you're not already subscribed, and also ring that notification bell. That way you're notified next time we go live. Also, guys, if you have a moment after this stream's over, please share this. Let other people know where we're at and stuff, and then they can get and watch the replay. We'd appreciate it.
Yep. Appreciate you. Now, so if they do, well, we went ahead, we kind of got the pros and the cons out of the way. I think those are a lot of the big pros and cons from, a trade for Justin Fields. And again, this is hypothetical, this is just, if the Bears did say, hey, we would agree to this, would you pull the trigger, So that's all I was asking. Appreciate you, Dennis.
Oops, that was an accident. My mouse is broken, guys, so that thing happens.
Easy, baby. Actually, you could bring that up. That's a.
I didn't have a chance to read it, so that's why I was like, "Whoops."
Easy, baby. What's up? And I 100% agree with this. He says fans don't believe in developing or giving a quarterback a year or so. They want instant wins. Peyton Manning wasn't Manning in his first year, right? He was 3-13, led the NFL in interceptions. It is a tough position it is the toughest position to play in the NFL, getting up to speed, learning, pass rush, getting through your reads quickly, learning playbooks, understanding, NFL defenses and how they play, because the, cornerbacks and pass defenses and pass rush is way different than it is in college. It takes a lot, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want a quarterback. I'll tell you what. You're a CJ Stroud guy, right?
I'll be honest with you. The three that I'm looking at, Bryce Young's the only one off the table. And like I said, to me, this isn't as much about the talent as it is the measurables. Not to mention that the Colts have already repeatedly stressed how they're wanting to go with a more mobile, more divert, run as well as pass type quarterback. And to me, Bryce Young, he has that ability. I just don't want to put that stature in that situation. So I would say the other three, they have their pros and stuff that, like with AR-15, you can get him, maybe even get a little draft capital. You don't want to leave the top 10. I still think you're going to have to get him earlier than what his talent states that you would, but you could still go from 4 down to 6, 7, 8 range and get some more draft capital, and then also take a shot at an AR-15 or a Levis, and that's where I'm at.
Well, here's a question, and this is my point right here. I don't want anyone that scores poorly on the Wonderlic. Okay, mm-hmm. As at quarterback, absolutely not. If, say, Will Levis scores an 18 on the Wonderlic, screw that. Pass. That's just flat. That shows that he's not going to be very good at developing in the NFL. Right. Yeah. It's just flat out. So I want a quarterback that's going to score well in that. And that is a bare minimum. I also want a quarterback that can throw the ball a minimum of 50 yards, with his feet planted.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
And honestly, and CJ Stroud can do that, but that's not his game. But then you look at the other two, and without a doubt, I mean, since Levis has left Penn State, he's fixed his mechanics a little bit. This dude is just, I mean, he is one of the best pure passers of these guys because, like I said, he's just he when he throws that ball, it's a thing to be seen. But to your point earlier, that's where you need Ballard, and that's where you need to let the process run its course. That's where you need to have these interviews and get the one-on-ones and stuff, because you really do want to vet these guys and find out. You don't want your pick of the future to sit there and be a flake between the ears. And then all of a sudden, even if he can play good football, but he goes out and makes bad decisions when he's off the field and stuff. You don't want that. I mean, the Colts have been real good about avoiding those type of situations. So like I said, this is a big decision. This is arguably one of the most important decisions that Chris Ballard's had to make since he's been here.
Well,
so,
when you're using a top, this is the only time he's ever had a top 10 pick, right? And he's using it on a quarterback.
He had it with Quentin Nelson. Remember, that was a top 10.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't going for a quarterback, right?
No, he wasn't, because he
had Andrew Luck. So this is a top 10 pick needing a quarterback, right? In your thing. This is a very, very, very important decision for him. And going back to the Fields thing, I'm not pro or against the Justin Fields trade.
Mm-hmm.
If something like that happened, if he did that, I would be the exact same way. I would sit back. I'd be like, all right, at least he's making a move to try to improve the team, and let's see what happens, because that is one thing that you can say. If you traded for Justin Fields and got him, that is a move to try to shake things up on this team without any doubt.
Yeah. And the thing is okay. And it's all time for me. The only, like I said, negatively wise, I just can't get over the shortened time. Because you think about it, if Chris Ballard goes and makes this move and chose to go the Justin Fields route, you have to win next year. You would absolutely have to win next year. If you sat there and came out and brought in Justin Fields and passed up on, I'm not saying you have to sit there and go to the Super Bowl, but what I am saying is you would have to definitely produce a 9-10 game winning season with Justin Fields, or else that seat is going to be so stinking hot under Chris Ballard, it wouldn't even be funny. Yeah, and let's not forget, guys, this decision also has to clear Irsay. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's another big hurdle that, you may have to
I think Irsay would be okay with it because he is going for a young, very high-end talent type guy. He's trying to make that move. I think Irsay would be okay with trading up in the draft. I wouldn't be, but I think Irsay would be. I think Irsay would be okay with trading back a couple spots as long as there was a guy there for him to get that was, high end at the quarterback position. If he pulled off a 2018 draft this year and still got a high-end talent quarterback, holy crap, he would be a god among GMs. A lot of Colts fans out there would just look at him and go, that have been bashing him for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They would look at him completely. Let's say he did. Let's say he traded back and ended up getting Levis, right? Somehow Levis falls to like 7. Right. And he gets Levis and an extra 2 second-round picks with it. People will go, what? Holy crap. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Chris Ballard needs to dip into that bag of magical GM dust and sprinkle that thing over free agency, over the draft, over this head coaching search. I mean, this year we need him to really make a lot of right choices. Not all of them have to be the exact right choice. And I want to address this. And I don't even want to pull up one comment because it's throughout the chat. Everybody's talking about accuracy. Guys, none of these guys are finished products. Justin Fields is not a finished product. The thing is you bring him in and you surround him with really solid coaching. You surround him, these guys, whoever him is, you surround these young talented guys I mean, you can see that growth. Remember Josh Allen, and I seen somebody else earlier mention Jalen Hurts. That was their complaint against these guys. Oh, they're not real accurate passing. Well, I'll tell you right now. Do you think that Stephon Diggs or AJ Brown feel the same way after this year? I mean, let these young men come in, give them good supportive cast, and let's not forget, the Colts have some big-bodied receivers. So as far as if the accuracy's off a little bit, at least you got some extra large humans that can hopefully make up for that a little bit early on.
You could say the same thing about Tua. Everybody in his first 2 years, he's got all these accuracy issues and all this. Now, his injury thing, that's something you could still throw a tic-tac on. But they went out and got him weapons. And if I remember right, he led the league in QBR this year. So that's something. I mean, he made some big plays. Hey, Black Rain, 7920. Appreciate you being in here, my guy. Thank you so much. We welcome everybody. And by the way, this is a hypothetical. I'm not saying that the Colts need to go out and trade for Justin Fields or try to. I'm saying if this is a situation, if this was an option, would it be something that you would do? You know what I mean? That's all it is.
But
I don't think that they will be trading him. I fully agree with you, Black Rain. I'm just saying, it's just like I don't think Daniel Jones is leaving the Giants. I don't think Lamar Jackson. Well, I'm a little bit more on track with Lamar Jackson being out of the Ravens than I was, say, a month ago. So that's just because of some of the reports that are coming out. But I'm still 75% sure that Lamar will at least be franchise tagged by the Ravens. So
I'll be honest with you, I'm more on board with that way of thinking. Just over the last 40 hours, that contract they signed Roquan to, I was just like, okay, maybe the Lamar, because that was a contract now. And the thing is do you really make that and then turn around and give a Lamar Jackson that massive deal that he's wanting as well? So yeah, I have a feeling that, it's going to be something that, is going to be contentious and it's very interesting. Now it seems more up in the air. And Basil, I understand what you're saying, but none of those coaches are going to be they're not in the building now, or they're not going to be in the building going into next year.
Even if by some weird chance, Jeff Saturday is hired as the long-term head coach on a 1-year deal, they would not be back. He would have his own guys with completely new people, from the list that he had set up, So don't expect that Riker, Parks, or any of that. The only person that I think that could come back, and sadly I think there's 2 of them, Reggie Wayne would be one, and I hate to say it, but maybe Chris Strausser. But that's just because Strausser is, he's got long-term ties with Saturday.
God.
My ears. I know, I don't like, but you understand where I'm coming from on that.
I do.
Yeah.
But I had it up just a minute ago, and but Ann says there's some really good offensive guys. Look at these coaches that they're offering. I mean, you look at the offensive coordinator out of Detroit, Johnson, and then you turn around and look at the OC out of Philly. I mean, look at what they've done. Okay, granted, they're both different paths, but the guy in Philly has been really awesome for Jalen Hurts and that offense over the last 2 years. You know what I mean? He's really helped grow and develop that talent. And then you look at what Johnson has done in Detroit. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there's no way in the world I thought Jared Goff would be able to run that potent of an offense coming into the start of the season. And then you turn around and look at that run game, and I love the Detroit run game and the diversity of it and stuff. Can you imagine that offense with Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, and Deion Jackson all to sit there? Not to mention, whoever they bring is the number 4. I mean, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of good, talented coaches out there. We just have to find the right one.
Josh Sharf said, if the Colts draft a quarterback, I really wish we would have kept Frank Reich. Everyone hated him, but he had three top 10 offenses and 1 in 15 or 16. No, listen, here's the thing. All right. I would have agreed with you if we went and got a quarterback 2 years ago, 3 years ago in the draft, because I think it would have been a completely different situation. I think Frank Reich, having a young quarterback year after year, the situation would have been much, much different. But being it is what it is, and he had a different quarterback year after year after year and couldn't use his knowledge up here to mold a young guy into what he wanted, then that's where we ended up, had to end up letting him go. So there is a lot of, hey, guys, 63 of you in here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time we go live or upload a video. I think I'm going to be recording tomorrow with Gerard about our wild card weekend playoff predictions, because I've already got Rodney McLeod's predictions down and saved, but Gerard's got a little bit of a health issue, and hopefully he'll be good for tomorrow. And then I can record it, get it out, hopefully post it by noon. That would be nice. Just to let you guys know who follow me.
But if you want an early glimpse at what Rodney McLeod had to say, guys, $5 a month, you can hop on the Patreon. You get all the behind the scenes. You get all the recorded stuff basically right after it's recorded. You get some of the stuff that gets edited out normally and stuff. You'd already know what Rodney's thinking about the playoff games coming into today. I did want to bring up Bebo because you know how highly I think. And he says, I wouldn't mind keeping the running back coach. And, you know, he's been able to take our young
Brian.
pieces. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, Brian. See?
No, he's keeping Baker.
Yeah, I think that was the O-line.
Yeah,
Baker was the O-line coach from defensive side last year. It's
D-line.
Yeah, that's why I said D-line coach from last year.
You said O-line.
Whatever, you know. But anyhow,
Scotty Montgomery is our running back coach.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I wanted to point that out. That I do like what Scotty Montgomery has brought into. Mm-hmm. So there are pieces, but there again, now you're running into what does the new head coach want and stuff, you know, and I get it, you know. And I also want to point out, it seems like everybody's like, you know, if you get a head coach, the Colts want to keep a lot of these things, but let's not pretend like they don't have a system or way that might be as productive or even more so. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I look at what that Detroit run game looked like this year, and it's like, yeah, you know, I mean, and the thing is I've gone back over the last couple of days, really going through some of the games and stuff, and it's like, I'm not going to pretend like I watched every Detroit game or anything, but NFL Plus has made it to where I can go back and look, and it's like, these guys are really, really have a special thing going there with their run game. I was very on board with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Williams, wow. I mean, he broke the franchise record, right? Yeah. And then, you know, you got Swift over there as well. So they've got a nice little run game. And when you got when your head coach is talking, you know, rough and gruff and wants to bite kneecaps off, you know your offensive line is going to be blocking their asses off, right? Yeah. So, yeah. It's all good. All right. So, guys, who do you want? Just go ahead. Who is your number one? If you could go, Strasser, guys, I'm 100% on board with that, Dennis. 100% on board with that. I was talking about that at the beginning of training camp. Strasser needs to go. You know, after I got Brian Baker fired, the next guy I jumped on the list was Strasser. Well, the quarterback coach too, but he's still freaking here, but he won't be here anymore. So I don't think I have to worry about him being here at all. No matter, even if Saturday's hired, I don't think he'll be here. But that's awesome. I want to know, again, in the comments, who is your ideal quarterback for 2023? I don't care if it's a rookie. Doesn't matter where at, you know, just a rookie, whether you feel like we can get him or not. And because, I mean, it's possible we could trade up. I'm not on board with that, but it's possible we could. A legitimate shot, you know, quarterback that's already in the NFL. Is there a guy there that you want? Now, obviously, don't put Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. That's not happening. All right. But, you know, if there's someone out there, that, you think that the Colts might have a shot at that you would really like to see on the team next year, let me know,
I just wanted to address this because Jason Davis says, appreciate you being in here. He says, what about Hooker? No one is talking about him. He wouldn't even be a first round pick. He would be a first round pick if he wasn't injured. Thing is he would be Hendon Hooker. You got to factor in his age. He's 25. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's even going to be 26 before the season starts, but don't quote me on that. Not to mention that he is injured. Now you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, you're going to draft a quarterback who's probably not going to see the field and not even be able to get reps because of that Achilles and stuff. It just pushed that timetable too far. If you're going to sit there and draft him, well, then heck, why not just wait around and take a run at the next year's draft and some of the talent that's coming out of there, So me personally, the age along with the injury is just, and I like the young man. But it makes it awful hard to sit there and let him enter the conversation, especially when you look at where the Colts are and with what other options there are.
So there is here we go. I just want to bring this up. Where is it? Dennis says, I love Saturday, but we can't make him head coach. I'm okay with making him a head coach. If he comes in and he shocks the world with the offensive staff, like somehow he's like, yeah, I got Sean Payton as my offensive coordinator. I got, and just starts dropping people, somehow we ended up, getting Jeff Stoutland as our offensive line coach. And, if he goes out and he grabs like some of the best ever to do it that's in the league right now, hell yeah, you get him. But, he's got, and I'm sure he's got some pull and he's got some names. Yeah. He's not a guy I'm expecting to be out there making, play calls and things like that. He's just going to be leading a team, not, he'd leave any play calls up to his offensive and defensive coordinator and stuff like that. I don't feel like he would Jim Irsay his own team. All right. I don't see that.
Wow. It's a verb now, huh? Yeah. And I love Jeff Saturday, but I'm leaning more towards Dennis, and I know what you're saying, but
yeah.
That
I
list
get you.
Yeah, I know that list would have to be super awesome. And the thing is, how much shorter of a leash would Jeff Saturday have because of what happened over this last year and stuff? It's just, I want to see Saturday succeed. And I think that if you give Saturday some other position in this organization, whether it's like we were talking about on last night's Patreon show, whether it was like a head coach assistant or something, just let him sit there and be part of all the inner workings and stuff, and then let him see where he goes. Everybody wants him as an offensive line coach. I'd love that, but I don't see any way, shape, or form that Jeff would ever take that.
He turned it down multiple times to be the offensive line coach for the Colts.
Yeah. So, like I said, I love Jeff Saturday, and I don't feel any ill will. But you sit there and you look at the way the Colts lost those 8, the 1-7, the way we lost in those games. That's a hard thing for me to get past. And then I really wasn't a fan of the exit presser. I just felt like I agree with a lot of what Jeff Saturday had to say. I just wish he would have packaged it a little differently. I wish he would have sat there and said, started off with some of the things that he could have done better and then address the other stuff. But I get it. He's trying to get a campaign for the job. It's hard to get a job when you're sitting there going, oh, I stunk at this and I stunk at that, so I understand. It just ask me that next year and I might be able to process it a little better.
No. And it's not because it's Tom Brady. That's what you're talking about. Or are you talking about
Marcus? Yeah, are you talking about Marcus Brady or Tom Brady?
Because well, Marcus Brady's already here.
No, he got let go before Rex did.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't want Marcus Brady.
Right.
No. If it's Tom Brady, no, because he's like 67 years old, and no, that's not a when we're talking about retreads, that is the ultimate damn retread, no. But if it's Marcus Brady, if it's Marcus Brady, no either,
He said Tom Brady. No Tom Brady, easy baby.
No Tom Brady. But Yeah, there is some coaches. We'll obviously get into a little bit of that at some point, but I just wanted to come in here and see what you guys thought about, possibly trading for a young, high talented quarterback. There was other options out there as well that I could have went with, but this is a bid situation. Anything you want to talk about, man? Because we're 40 minutes in. And obviously, we got the chat here. Guys, if you want to donate to the channel, feel free. Use the link in the description. It's scrolling across down here on the bottom. It's just like a super chat. Appreciate you very, very much.
Yeah, honestly, guys, I'll tell you right now, I would like to address a little bit about this list, which I get it. The list is long and keeps getting longer about the coaches that they're bringing in. But I want to know what you guys think of the list, because I'll tell you right now, I'm very intrigued by some of these names and stuff. If we get Tom Brady, I'd trade Nelson Kelly Smith for, oh my. All right, Basil, I am you finally found a way that I might be on board with you trading Nelson.
If we trade for Tom Brady, I want to get him murdered. That's basically what you just said, right?
But no, I just would like to get the idea of what some of these guys are thinking, because I mean, what did you guys think of, possibly going with, Bubba Ventrone, what I mean? Yeah. What are you guys thinking along those lines? And stuff, just to get an idea, because me, honestly, and we haven't talked about Jim Harbaugh or anything, and I just wanted to get a basic feel for what you guys were thinking. Or is there something else you guys would rather talk about? Just put it in the chat. Let us know.
Absolutely. Anything you want to talk about. We got about 15 minutes to sit here and jibber jabber with you guys. Enjoy sitting here talking all the time. We'll probably come back tomorrow with another topic. I know, I saw it too. When he was talking, I saw it, and I was just like, are you going to trade for the Texans for their left tackle too while you're at it? Because, let's bring back LaRaven Clark,
Let's pull this up. Brandon always gives us something good to talk. If I can catch it, there it is. He says this may be a hot take, but I'd rather trade Kenny Moore this offseason before I trade it. Yeah, Gilly was a top 50. What? This is the first I've heard about trading Gilly. So is that a thing on Twitter that I missed today, or what in the world? Because Kenny Moore. If you guys got to listen to any of the interviews and stuff, the closing interviews and stuff, he almost sounded like somebody who is, resigned to the fact that, his time has run its course here in India and stuff. And I may be wrong. It just may be, it's just the way I felt. I was listening to it, and it just very, very looking back, what the reflective, very, very reflective over his time here. And it felt like he didn't feel comfortable in this Gus Bradley scheme and stuff. So, yeah, I agree. I honestly, if you moved from Kenny Moore there again, now we sit there and we look at the Chicago thing, that could be something that, for those of you that are wanting to trade up in the draft, if you sit there, or if you just trade, and obviously you would have to package it with other things, but I just would like to see Kenny Moore succeed. I like the young man. We've watched him come in from being that bright-eyed, UDFA to being a consummate pro. Granted, I understand you may not like the way he handled his contract stuff at the beginning of the season, but I didn't even have a problem with that. It wasn't like he was making a bunch of noise. It was more on the reporters, I felt like, just observing and reporting than it was. But, yeah, like I said, I agree with that one. What do you think, Lawrence?
Well, yeah.
Trading Kenny?
I'm not trading Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
Are you out your mind?
I'm like, was that a thing? I hope not. Because, he was spectacular, especially for this young core players that he has around him.
I'm not trading for Brock Purdy, Rianta. I'm sorry. I'm not. Look. He's in a system that makes every quarterback that's ever played there look good, except for, I think, 2 years ago when everybody got hurt, like the entire team was hurt, right? When everybody looked bad because there was nobody with talent on the team anymore because they were all on IR. But outside of that, yeah, this is a system that looks really, really good. That makes most quarterbacks look good because it's all about getting guys the ball open in space. I don't know how you evaluate Brock Purdy in that situation.
P-Drag, I love this statement because he says trading up to number one is just way too expensive, and I totally agree with that. He says the Texans aren't going to trade with the Colts, obviously, and are divisional rivals. You know,
I don't think they're trading to number one. They won't trade to number one either. So, because I just don't see that happening. I think they'll probably use their number two on a quarterback. The only worry I have in all legitimacy is the third pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's the legitimate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not going to cost you nearly as much to move up one spot versus, 3 more spots up to number one. I love that comment, though. Absolutely.
I think we do have a no. Hell no. Why would you trade one running back for another?
I knew it was coming.
Look, I wouldn't mind having Lamar Jackson on the team. I don't want to trade our running back for Lamar Jackson. You put JT and Lamar Jackson on the same team together, that's nasty. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely disgusting, right? When it comes to, the RPO situation.
Yeah, that is. I know B-Ball was early. He was on that, and he sort of. I'll voice for he's come back on it a little bit, but yeah, mm-hmm. I was definitely sitting there trying to imagine, this running back. Only thing I was concerned with if we were to take a swing at Lamar's, how much would our offensive line have to be, restructured? Because then I don't know that Ryan Kelly could ever stay. And I know a lot of you guys are wanting him gone anyhow,
but I'm not going to say that out loud, but that's pretty funny.
Appreciate all this interaction, guys. You guys are awesome. We got 100 of you in here. So I just want to remind you, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe, sorry, Lawrence, and make sure you ring that notification bell.
Here's the deal, Thrillix. It's not about because they have a top 3 running back. But if you have one, that's just a bonus in the pot. That just helps your odds of getting there and doing it. It's not because of that. That's what I'm saying. So, right now, having him doesn't mean that we can't get there. Just straight up, that is a ridiculous statement, to say, just because you have one, you can't get to the Super Bowl, that's not the case ever. But you need other things as well. You need a quarterback, right? Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
And Rihanna, Tom Brady was not Mr. Irrelevant, but he wasn't far from it. I get your point on that. But, because wasn't he a 6th round pick or something like that?
Well, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who? Brock Purdy?
No, Tom Brady. No, Brock Purdy was.
Yeah, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, but I get your point. But there you go. He was, but he was also 45 years younger when that happened. So a lot of things have happened over the last 20 plus years.
Yeah, here's the thing about the running back situation. I don't want to be a team that is built solely around a running back. That's not going to make the Super Bowl, right? Like, say, the Titans. You cannot be that and make the Super Bowl and win it, But if you have a good team around and actually have a damn good running back to go with it, that just increases your chances. It's just very difficult to have an amazing running back and a really good passing game at the same time with a decent defense and make the Super Bowl. That's like a trifecta, and teams just don't get trifectas very often.
Okay. And Kenneth, I get what you're saying, but there again, that's if you're trading a vet in the draft that you feel like you're not going to be able to re-sign and he's only got a year left on the contract. And Chris Ballard, let's be honest, you guys can bust on him for a lot of things, but whenever it comes to his trades and stuff, me personally, I can't think of one that, didn't at least accomplish a goal and stuff. It just seems to me Chris Ballard, as far as talent evaluation, and I get it, it's more than just him, but as far as talent evaluation and the way he deals in the draft, he is a plus factor in those aspects.
Hold on. I can deny this past year. Before that, you don't deny his last year with the Patriots. Maybe you can deny that a little bit as well. But last year, this past year, yeah, he was not very good as a quarterback. When you're, like I said, 97 years old, he's not going to be, out there throwing the football in a wheelchair. He's just not going to, or a walker, I mean, so I'd rather not go after a Tom Brady. I'm just saying. But guys, I think we're about to kill it. I appreciate each and every one of you. I got to get my wife back over to her sister's house because she came over to take a nap because she wasn't able to sleep over there. But guys, please smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. I've looked over at the like buttons and I'm seeing 35 and I've got 100 people in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we get a few likes before we end up dropping this? I'd appreciate it. Just get us to 50. I'd be really happy with that. That's going to help a ton for the channel, the analytics, all that stuff. Thank you so much. And like I said, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell. Turn on all notifications because there's going to be a ton. I don't know about other content creators, but this channel is going to have a ton of content coming out during the off season and even the playoffs. I know it's the Colts and there's not a lot of stuff going on for the Colts, but I follow every team I follow the entire NFL. Plus I talk to Colts players and coaches all the time. So, we'll have content. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
All
Thanks.
right, guys.
Appreciate you, Basil.
Absolutely. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. As usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times over the last 3 months. I don't care who Chris Ballard gets this offseason. I want a young, high-end talent that has the chance to be a long-term starter. I don't care where it comes from. Just go get him. Have a good one.